June stood at the large window of the transport ship, his eyes fixed on the huge Galactic Council station that grew bigger as they got closer. The stars around it looked small, compared to the massive ring-shaped structure that served as the meeting place for all important alien species in the galaxy. June was only 28 years old, making him the youngest human ambassador ever chosen to speak for Earth. His simple black suit looked plain next to the bright, colorful clothes worn by the alien delegates around him. The transport ship moved slowly toward the docking area. June could see hundreds of other ships from different worlds coming and going. Some looked like shining metal birds, while others were just giant cubes that somehow moved through space without any visible engines. June had studied all the major species in the galaxy, but seeing their ships up close still amazed him. A blue-skinned alien with 4 arms approached June. The alien belonged to the Araxian species, one of the oldest in the council. Their skin always looked like it was covered in tiny stars. Ambassador June, we will arrive at the station in 10 minutes, the Araxian pilot said. The council members are already waiting for your arrival. They do not expect much from this meeting. June nodded, trying to hide how fast his heart was beating. Earth had only joined the Galactic Council 5 short years ago, after alien ships first visited the planet. Most species still viewed humans as primitive newcomers, barely worth their time. The Council had ruled space for over 10,000 years, and they never let anyone forget it, especially not humans. June turned away from the window and looked at his data tablet one more time, checking his notes and facts. His mission was simple but very important. Earth needed mining rights on a moon called Celeste. The moon had rare minerals that Earth doctors needed to make medicine. Without these minerals, millions of people might die, but the Council had already given the mining rights to the Vorn Empire, a rich and powerful alien nation that had been part of the Council for thousands of years. No human had ever directly asked the High Council to change their mind before. That was what made June's job so hard and so important. When the ship finally docked at the station, June was met by Tae-young, a human woman who had worked at the station for 3 years. She had short black hair and wore the blue uniform of station workers. Welcome to Galactic Center, Ambassador, she said with a small bow. They have put your hearing on the schedule for tomorrow morning. You should get some rest tonight. Tae-young led June through shining hallways that seemed to go on forever. The station was huge, big enough to hold a small city. Aliens of all shapes and sizes walked past them. Some had too many eyes. Others had skin that changed color as they moved. A few floated above the ground instead of walking. The Council rarely changes their mind once they decide something, Tae-young whispered as they walked. Do not get your hopes up. This is mostly just for show. They want humans to feel like they are being heard, but they already made their choice. I am not here to fail, June replied. His voice was calm, but his hands shook. A little Earth needs those mining rights. People will die without them. Tae-young looked at him with surprise. Most human representatives just accepted whatever the Council decided. It was easier that way. You have courage, she said, but courage alone will not win against the Council. They have rules that go back thousands of years. And the Vorn Empire has many friends among the elder species. June nodded. The elder species were the 17 oldest alien races in the galaxy. They each had 1 seat on the High Council, giving them power to make all important decisions. The Vorn were not among the elders, but they had been in space for 8,000 years and had built strong connections. When they reached June's room, Tae-young handed him a data. Key, your meeting details are in here, she said. The council session starts at first bell. Be ready 1 hour before I will come to get you. She paused before adding, the Vorn representative, Sang-woo, will be there. He is known for being hard on humans. Be prepared for difficult questions. After Tae-young left, June sat on the edge of the bed looking out at the stars. He thought about Earth and all the people counting on him. His parents, his little sister, the millions of sick people who needed the medicine that could only be made with minerals from Celeste Moon. He could not fail them. Instead of resting, June began studying. He connected his data tablet to the station's information system and searched for anything that might help Earth win mining rights. He spent hours reading old council decisions looking for any case similar to Earth's where the council had changed their mind. Most cases ended the same way, with the council supporting the older, more established species. But as the night went on, June found something interesting. A very old rule buried deep in the ancient council laws: the right of historical precedent. Almost no one used it anymore, but it had never been removed from the law books. June read it again, making sure he understood it correctly. According to this rule, any species could claim resource rights to a world or moon if they could prove their ancestors had used that place before the modern council formed. The rule was created to respect the claims of species who had explored space before joining the council. But how could this help Earth? Humans had only reached space travel recently. They had never been to Celeste Moon in ancient times. Or had they? June quickly connected to Earth's data network, sending a message to the research team back home. He needed to know if there was any evidence, any proof at all, that humans might have visited Celeste in the distant past. It seemed impossible. But there were many mysteries in human history. Many unexplained things. While waiting for a response, June continued reading about council rules and Celeste Moon. He learned that the moon had once been studied by a species called the Eridu. They were also known as the Lost Ones because they had disappeared from the galaxy 12,000 years ago, leaving only ruins and mysteries behind. The Eridu were known for their interest in primitive species, often taking samples and specimens from developing worlds for their research. Could they have taken ancient humans to Celeste? June wondered. It seemed like a wild guess, but he needed any advantage he could find. Just before morning, June's data tablet lit up with a response from Earth. The message contained images that made June's eyes go wide and his heart beat faster. The Earth research team had been exploring Celeste Moon in secret, preparing for the council meeting. They had found something incredible: ancient ruins, human ruins, tools and buildings made by human hands, dating back 12,000 years. The genetic testing was clear. These were not alien structures, but ones built by early humans. June could hardly believe it. This changed everything. If humans had been on Celeste before, even if they were taken there by the Eridu, the right of historical precedent might give Earth a valid claim to the moon's resources. As the station's first bell rang announcing morning, June felt new hope. The council meeting would be hard, the Vorn would fight against Earth's claim, but now he had something that might actually work. A way to win that followed the council's own ancient rules. June took a deep breath and began preparing his presentation. He would need to be perfect. The entire future of Earth might depend on what happened in the next few hours. When Taeyong knocked on his door, June was ready. His face showed calm confidence as he stepped into the hallway. To the council chamber, he said, "Today everything changes." The Galactic Council chamber was the biggest room June had ever seen. It was a perfect circle with a high ceiling that showed moving stars and planets above, like a living map of the galaxy. The floor was made of shiny black stone that seemed to swallow light. The room had 17 tall podiums arranged in a half circle. Each podium held one representative from the elder species, the oldest and most powerful aliens in the galaxy. Hundreds of lesser delegates filled rows of seats below the Ide podiums. These were representatives from younger species who could watch but not vote on important matters. Humans had seats in this area far in the back, showing their low status in galactic society. June walked to the central speaking platform, his footsteps echoing in the large space. He felt very small standing there with all those alien eyes watching him. Some aliens had many eyes. Others had none at all, using different senses to see the world. But all of them were focused on the human who dared to challenge a council decision. The head counselor was a tall, thin being named Do-hun, with skin like liquid silver that rippled when he moved. He wore a simple white robe with gold edges showing his high rank. Do-hun looked down at June from his tall podium with clear dislike on his face. Human Ambassador June Do-hun announced, his voice deep and echoing through the chamber. "You wish to contest the council's decision about mining rights on Celeste Moon. You may state your case, though I warn you this council's decisions are rarely changed." June took a deep breath and bowed respectfully to show he understood their customs. He had practiced this moment many times. "Honorable Council," he said in a clear voice that carried throughout the room, "I thank you for this chance to speak, Earth. Needs these resources not for fun or money but for survival. Our planet's rare minerals are almost gone. Without new sources, our medicine will stop working within 10 years. Millions will die. The Vorn, representative named Sang-woo, stood up on his podium. He was shorter than Do-hun, but his red and gold robes showed his species' wealth and power. The Vorn looked almost human, except for their golden eyes with no pupils and the small ridges on their foreheads. Humans always claim they are desperate. Sang-woo interrupted with a wave of his hand. Your kind had thousands of years to use your resources better. The Vorn have legally bought these rights following council law. The decision is made. Many aliens in the audience nodded, showing they agreed. The Vorn Empire controlled huge wealth and had many friends on the council. June had expected this reaction. With respect, he continued, keeping his voice calm. I ask the council to consider new evidence, and I wish to invoke the right of historical precedent. Sudden silence fell across the entire chamber. Many delegates looked confused, while the elder members shifted in their seats, looking uncomfortable. Some whispered to each other, that law has not been used in 7,000 years. Do-hun said, his silver face showing surprise for the first time, but it remains valid under Council Statute Number 5692. June replied, any world can claim resource rights if they can prove their ancestors used the area before modern council times. June could see he had their attention now. Even Sang-woo looked worried. The Vorn representative leaned forward, his golden eyes narrowed. What evidence could humans possibly have? Sang-woo asked with a laugh. Your kind barely left your solar system before we found you. June took out his datapad and pressed a button. It projected large images into the center of the chamber for all to see. The images showed ruins and old tools clearly made by human hands. The data showed they were 12,000 years old, older than the council itself. Impossible, shouted several delegates at once. One of the elder council members, a female alien named Haewon, who served as the council's chief scientist, leaned forward. With great interest, she had purple skin and 6 fingers on each hand. Her species was known for their scientific minds. How did humans reach Celeste? 12,000 years ago, she asked. Your recorded history shows no such ability. You were primitive, then barely using metal tools. That is what we are still trying to understand, June explained. But genetic testing proves these were built by humans. We believe an advanced race, possibly the Eridu, who you know as the Lost Ones, took a group of ancient humans to Celeste as part of their studies. Haewon blinked her 4 eyes slowly. The Eridu artifacts match this building style, she admitted. June continued, showing more evidence. The research team from Earth had found not just ruins, but preserved human remains. Their DNA matched ancient human groups from Earth, dating back to the same time period. 12,000 years ago, I request a short break to examine this evidence, Haewon said to Do-hun. This is a serious scientific claim that needs proper review. Do-hun nodded and struck a small bell on his podium. The council will take 1 hour to review this evidence, he announced. When we return, Ambassador June will answer our questions. Guards led June to a small waiting room. Tae-young joined him there, her eyes wide with excitement. I cannot believe what you just did, she whispered. No human has ever made the council take a break to study evidence. This is big, June. Really? Big June sat down, feeling tired. The easy part was done. Now came the hard questions. The council would look for any reason to reject his claim. Do you think it will work? He asked Tae-young. Will they give us the mining rights? Tae-young shook her head. I do not know, she said. The evidence looks strong, but the Vorn have much power here. They will not give up Celeste Moon without a fight. 1 hour later, June returned to the council chamber. The mood had changed. He could feel tension in the air. The elder species members were talking quietly among themselves. Some looked angry. Others seemed confused. The evidence has been examined, Do-hun announced. The genetic testing appears correct. These ruins were indeed built by ancient humans. This is most unexpected. Sang-woo stood up, his face showing anger. Even if these artifacts are real, humans abandoned Celeste thousands of years ago. The right of claim should have ended. Not according to your own laws, June countered. The right of historical precedent has no time limit. If the claiming species lost their ability to maintain their presence due to becoming less advanced, which clearly happened to early humans after the Eridu disappeared. The chamber filled with loud talking as delegates argued. June waited, staying calm on the outside while his heart raced inside. This was working, better than he had hoped. The council was actually considering Earth's claim. Do-hun raised his hand for silence. The law does support the human argument, he admitted reluctantly. We must consider this claim valid under council law. Sang-woo slammed his fist on his podium. This is outrageous, he shouted. The Vorn Empire has invested much in preparing to mine Celeste. We have equipment already in orbit. We have treaties with 6 council races to share. The minerals. Do-hun looked uncomfortable, caught between following the law and upsetting a powerful ally. The council needs time to discuss this matter fully, he said. We will take a recess until tomorrow morning. As the delegates filed out of the chamber, many aliens stared at June, some with surprise, others with new respect, a few with anger. No human had ever created such trouble in the council before. Outside the chamber, Tae-young grabbed June's arm, pulling him away from the crowd. You should be careful, she warned. The Vorn do not like losing. We'll try something, I am sure of it. June nodded. I know, he said. But what can they do? The law supports our claim. Tae-young looked around, making sure no one could hear them. There are many old laws in the council books, she whispered. Some that have not been used in thousands of years. If Sang-woo is desperate enough, he might find something we do not expect. That night June could not sleep. He stayed in his room studying more council laws, trying to guess what the Vorn might do. In the morning, Tae-young came to his door. Her face serious. The council is ready, she said. But I heard rumors. The Vorn asked for a private meeting with the elders last night. Something is happening. When they entered the council chamber, June immediately felt the change. The air seemed heavy with tension. Sang-woo stood at his podium, smiling a smile that made June nervous. Do-hun called the meeting to order. After careful review, we find the human's claim has legal merit under the right of historical precedent, he announced. Before June could feel relief, Sang-woo stepped forward. The evidence is interesting but not final proof, he announced with a cold smile. I invoke the right of challenge, gasps echoed through the chamber. June turned to Tae-young with a question in his eyes. The right of challenge is an ancient tradition, Tae-young whispered, looking pale. When 2 species have conflicting claims, they can settle it through formal competition. What form of challenge do you propose? Do-hun asked. Sang-woo smiled wider. The Vorn choose the trial of wisdom and endurance. Our champion will face the human in solving the cube of ancestors while inside the chamber of voices. The council chamber filled with loud voices as delegates talked about what just happened. June stood frozen, trying to understand what the right of challenge meant. The cube of ancestors. The chamber of voices. These words meant nothing to him, but the worried look on Tae-young's face told him this was bad news. Silence, Do-hun called out, striking his bell 3 times. All delegates returned to their seats. For our human guest, I will explain, Do-hun said, looking down at June. The right of challenge is one of our oldest laws. When 2 species fight over the same thing, they can settle it through a test instead of endless debate. The winner gets what they want. What is this test? June asked, keeping his voice steady. The Vorn have chosen the challenge, Do-hun replied. Each side picks one person to solve the cube of ancestors, a very old puzzle that changes shape as you work on it. You must solve it while inside the chamber of voices, a room that shows your worst fears to break your focus. Tae-young stepped forward to whisper to June. The cube is almost impossible to solve, she said. Only the oldest species know its secrets, and the chamber of voices reads your mind to find what scares you most. It is a trap. June. The Vorn are experts at this, challenged. Sang-woo smiled from his podium. Our champion Sunho has won many challenges, he said. He has 4 arms and a perfect memory for patterns. No human could beat him. June felt cold fear in his stomach. This was not what he planned. He came to use laws and facts, not to play games. But looking around at the council members, he knew he had no choice. If he refused, Earth would lose all claim to Celeste. Moon, does Earth accept this challenge? Do-hoon asked. You may say no, but your claim will be lost. June took a deep breath. Earth accepts, he said. I will represent humanity. The entire chamber buzzed with excitement. No human had ever taken the right of challenge before. Most delegates thought June was crazy to try. Many began placing bets on how quickly he would fail. Heywan, the science elder, looked down at June with something like respect in her 4 eyes. The challenge will take place tomorrow morning, she said. You should prepare yourself, human. The Chamber of Voices can break even strong minds. As June left the chamber with Tae-young, aliens watched him with new interest. Some even nodded to him, showing respect for his courage. Others laughed, thinking he was foolish. Back in June's room, Tae-young paced back and forth. They tricked us, she said. The Vorn knew they might lose with the law, so they changed to a game they always win. The Cube of Ancestors is their specialty. Their young learn about it from birth. How does the cube work? June asked. Tae-young brought up images on her datapad. It looks simple, she explained. It is a box that changes color and shape as you touch it. You must find the right pattern to make it stable. The Vorn are very good with patterns. Their brains see connections. Humans cannot. And the Chamber of Voices? June asked. Tae-young looked even more worried. It scans your brain, she said. It finds what scares you most and makes you see it, hear it, even feel it. Most beings cannot focus with their worst fears attacking their mind. June sat down, feeling the weight of what he had agreed to. How can I prepare? He asked. Tae-young shook her head. You cannot, she said. Not really, but maybe I can help a little. She spent hours showing June recordings of past challenges, explaining how the cube worked. He watched Vorn champions solving similar puzzles, trying to understand their thinking. But it all seemed impossible. The puzzles were too alien. The solutions made no sense to his human mind. That night, June could not sleep. His mind kept showing him images of failure. The disappointed faces of Earth leaders, sick people without medicine. His family looking at him with sadness. He had taken a big risk, and now it seemed he would lose. Morning came too soon. Tae-young arrived looking tired too. She had been searching for anything that might help. It is time, she said. The whole station is talking about your challenge. Some aliens are impressed by your courage. Others are just coming to watch you fail. The challenge room was smaller than the council chamber, but still large enough to hold hundreds of viewers. All 17 elder council members sat in a special area. High above them, screens showed the event to millions of beings across the galaxy. This was big entertainment for them, a human trying something no human had done. Before Sunho, the Vorn champion entered to loud cheers. He stood nearly 7 feet tall with 4 arms and golden eyes. His scaled skin shimmered under the lights. He had won 17 previous challenges and looked completely confident. 2 platforms stood in the center of the room. Each had a small table with nothing on it. Guards led June to one platform and Sunho to the other. Do-hoon rose from his seat. The challenge begins now, he announced. Servants brought forward 2 objects covered in cloth. They placed one on each table and removed the cloths, revealing 2 identical cubes that glowed with soft blue light. The Cube of Ancestors, Do-hoon explained, was created by the first council races 15,000 years ago. It tests both logical thinking and instinct. The first to solve it wins. Sunho looked at June and smiled, showing sharp teeth. Shame you came all this way to lose human, he said. My people have studied this puzzle for 8,000 years. June did not answer. He stared at the cube, trying to understand it. It looked simple, just a blue box with faint lines on its surface, but he knew it was much more. Another servant approached with a small device that will monitor your brain patterns for the Chamber of Voices, she explained, placing it on June's temple. It will begin working once the challenge starts. Prepare yourselves. Do-hoon called. The Chamber of Voices will activate in 10 seconds. June took deep breaths, trying to calm his racing heart. He thought of Earth, of all the people counting on him. He could not fail. A bell rang and suddenly the room around June changed. The walls, floor, and ceiling became screens showing terrible images: Earth burning in nuclear fire, alien ships destroying human cities, children crying. As their world died, all around him sounds filled his ears: screams, explosions, the cries of dying people, his mother's voice calling his name in fear. June gasped. The images felt so real. He could almost smell smoke and blood. But through his terror, he remembered, this is not real. This is the chamber testing me. He forced his eyes back to the cube on the table. It had changed color, now glowing red. The lines on its surface moved like living things. June reached out with shaking hands and touched. The cube responded to his touch, changing shape slightly, becoming more round. He pressed another spot and it shifted again, becoming more square. This was the puzzle. He had to find the right sequence of touches to make it take its perfect form. Across. From him, Sunho worked with smooth confidence. His four hands moved quickly over his cube, making it change shape and color. His face showed no fear, no doubt. The chamber of voices seemed to have no effect on him. June tried to focus, but the terrible images kept pulling at his mind. He saw his sister dying, his father falling, the president of Earth begging alien leaders for mercy as they destroyed human cities. How could anyone solve a puzzle with these horrors attacking their mind? But then June noticed something. The images all showed the same fear. Humans being weak. Humans failing. Humans dying. Because they were not strong enough. Is that what the chamber thinks scares me most? June wondered. Not death or pain, but failure. A strange calm came over June as he realized something important. The chamber was showing him his fears, but those fears were just possible futures, not certain ones. Humans had always faced terrible odds. Throughout history, they had survived when they should have died. They had won when they should have lost. You show us our worst to break us, June said loudly, his voice cutting through the screams and explosions. But humans face our darkness. We learn from it. We grow stronger. The images around him flickered as if, surprised by his words, June turned his full attention to the cube. His hands steadier now. He began to see patterns in how it changed. A logic that had seemed alien before now started to make sense. June worked faster. His fingers found spots on the cube that made it shift in new ways. The cube changed from red to purple, then to gold. For every horror the chamber showed him, June thought of how humans had overcome similar challenges in their past. The courage of people facing impossible odds across the room. Sunho worked frantically, his four hands moving in blur. The Vorn looked up at June with surprise and growing worry. This was not going as he expected. The human should have broken by now, should have given up. June kept working. The cube was responding better to his touch now, as if it recognized his growing confidence. It changed from gold to white, then started to glow brighter. He was getting closer. He could feel it. The chamber showed new horrors now, more personal ones, his family saying. They were ashamed of him, Earth leaders blaming him for their problems. But these images no longer affected June. He saw through them to the truth. Fear could not control him if he did not let it. With one final sequence of touches, June pressed 5 spots on the cube in quick order. The cube flashed bright white, then settled into a perfect glowing sphere, stable and beautiful. A bell rang. The images and sounds of the chamber vanished. June blinked, looking around. The entire room was silent. Sunho stood frozen, his four hands still working on his cube, which remained unfinished. June had solved the cube of ancestors, and he had done it first. No one moved. No one spoke. The silence in the chamber was complete. Everyone stared at the glowing white sphere on June's table and the still unfinished cube in front of Sunho. The impossible had happened. A human had solved the cube of ancestors before a Vorn champion. Dohan stood up slowly, his silver face showing clear shock. The human has completed the challenge, he announced, his voice strangely quiet. The cube is solved. Sunho dropped his hands, his golden eyes wide with disbelief. No, he whispered. This cannot be. I am not finished. But the evidence was clear for all to see. June's cube glowed with perfect white light, stable and complete, while Sunho's remained an unfinished shape, still changing colors. The human June has won the right of challenge, Dohun declared. By our oldest laws, Earth now has rightful claim to Celeste Moon. The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates jumped to their feet. Some cheered, others shouted in anger. The Vorn delegation looked stunned. Sang-woo stood frozen, his face twisted with rage, while his assistants talked quickly around him, trying to find some way to protest. Guards moved to June's platform, escorting him toward a side door. The crowd was getting too excited. Some aliens wanted to touch June as if to see if he was real. Others looked angry enough to hurt him. Tae-young pushed through the crowd to reach him. Her face glowed with joy and amazement. You did it, she shouted, grabbing his arm. You actually did it. No human has ever won a challenge. No one thought it was possible. June felt strangely calm despite the chaos around him. The test had changed something inside him. Facing those fears had made him stronger. But he knew this was not over yet. We need to get back to the council chamber, he told Tae-young. They will have to make the victory official. The mining rights must be transferred to Earth. As they moved through the hallways, aliens stepped back to let them pass. Some bowed their heads in respect. Others watched with new interest in their eyes. Strange eyes with different shapes and colors, but all looking at the human with something new respect. This will change everything, Tae-young said as they walked. Humans standing in the galaxy just went up. Everyone is talking about you. The human who defeated a Vorn champion. The human who mastered the cube. This has never happened before. June could answer. A group of Vorn delegates blocked their path. Sunho stood among them, his tall form towering over the humans. His face showed fury and shame. You cheated, Sunho hissed. No human could solve the cube so quickly. You must have had help, some trick, some device. June met the Vorn's golden eyes without fear. No tricks. He said simply, I just understood something your people do not. Fear can be a strength if you learn from it instead of hiding from it, the Vorn hissed, showing sharp teeth. One moved forward as if to attack, but Sunho held up his hand. No, he said. There are too many witnesses. The human won today, but this is not over. The Vorn moved aside, letting June and Tae-young pass. As they continued toward the council chamber, Tae-young looked worried. Be careful, she warned. The Vorn do not accept defeat easily. They have much pride. They may try something desperate. When they reached the main council chamber, it was already filled with delegates. The news had spread quickly throughout the station. Elder council members sat at their high podiums, talking urgently among themselves. Sang-woo stood before them, gesturing angrily. As June entered, the room went quiet again. All eyes turned to him. Dohun waved him forward. Approach, human champion. Dohun said, his voice formal. The council recognizes your victory. June walked to the center of the chamber, keeping his face calm and respectful, but inside he felt proud. This was a victory not just for him, but for all humans. Sang-woo turned to face June, his eyes burning with anger. This victory means nothing, he declared. We reject it, reject. Haewon asked, her 4 eyes blinking in surprise. The challenge was fair. The human won. How can you reject what all have witnessed? The right of challenge is an ancient tradition. Sang-woo argued, perhaps too ancient to be valid in modern times. I demand the council reconsider based on current law, not outdated customs. Dohun looked uncomfortable, caught between ancient tradition and the angry demands of the powerful Vorn Empire. The council needs time to consider this matter, he said carefully. June stepped forward. No, he said, his voice stronger than before. The right of challenge was invoked by the Vorn, not by Earth. We agreed to your terms. We followed your rules. I won fairly. There is nothing to consider. A murmur of agreement ran through the watching delegates. Many nodded, supporting June's words. Dohun looked at the other council members. The law is clear, he admitted. The challenge result must be honored. Sang-woo slammed his fist on the speaking platform. This will ruin the Vorn mining operations, he shouted. We have invested huge resources. We have contracts with 6 worlds who expect minerals from Celeste. June saw his opportunity. I propose a compromise, he said. Looking directly at Sangwoo, he continued. Earth needs certain minerals for medicine. Not all resources on Celeste. We can work with. The Vorn share the moon. Share the mining operations. Everyone benefits. The chamber went quiet again. Delegates looked at each other surprised. This was not how things usually worked in the council. Species fought for resources they did not share willingly, especially not with newcomers like humans. Sangwoo seemed taken aback by the offer. He had expected the human to take everything after winning. Instead, June offered partnership. He did not know how to respond. The council finds this suggestion reasonable, Dohun said quickly. Seeing a way to solve the conflict, Earth has won the right to Celeste but offers to share with the Vorn. This shows wisdom. Other council members nodded in agreement. One said, the human shows the spirit of cooperation that the council was founded upon. Perhaps humans have more to offer than we thought. Sangwoo looked at his advisors, who whispered to him quickly. After a moment, he straightened his shoulders. The Vorn accept this compromise, he said stiffly, but we demand equal share of all operations, equal share. June agreed, extending his hand in the human gesture of agreement. Sangwoo hesitated, then reached out his own hand, copying the human custom. The two shook hands, sealing the deal. With this agreement, the council officially grants shared mining rights to both Earth and the Vorn Empire. Dohun announced. The details will be formalized in a proper treaty. As the meeting ended, delegates surrounded June, wanting to speak with him. Many who had ignored humans before now wanted connections with Earth. Taeyong stood at his side, helping him navigate the sudden attention. When they finally escaped the crowd, Taeyong led June to a quiet viewing area where they could see the stars and the curved edge of the station. Why did you offer to share? She asked. You could have taken everything after winning. June watched the stars, thinking of Earth so far away, but now more connected to the galaxy than ever before. Taking everything would have made the Vorn permanent enemies, he explained. This way we get what we need, the medicine our people require, but we also gain something more important. Respect. Taeyong nodded slowly, understanding. I never thought I would see this day. She said, a human standing equal with the oldest races, a human winning their games, beating them at their own challenge. This changes everything. June knew she was right. Something important had shifted in the galaxy today. Humans were no longer just newcomers to be ignored or dismissed. They had proven they belonged among the stars. Tomorrow he would start working on the treaty details, making sure Earth got the specific minerals needed for medicine. But tonight he would send a message home telling Earth leaders about their victory far above them. The stars continued their slow dance across the viewing window. Somewhere out there was Earth, waiting to hear the news that would save millions of lives, and beyond Earth was a galaxy that would never see humans the same way again. 3 days had passed since June won the challenge. 3 days of meetings, writing treaties, and talking with alien delegates who suddenly wanted to know more about Earth. 3 days that had changed the position of humans in the galaxy forever. June sat in a large meeting room with Taeyong beside him, and representatives from 12 different alien species around the table. They were finalizing the Celeste Moon Treaty, as it was now called, the agreement that would give Earth the minerals it needed for medicine and open new doors for human trade throughout the galaxy. Sangwoo sat across from June, still clearly unhappy about sharing Celeste Moon, but the Vorn diplomat was professional, now treating June with stiff respect. The other aliens watched this new human with careful eyes, some curious, some worried, some eager to make new connections with Earth. When we begin operations on Celeste Moon, we will need Earth workers with mining experience, June said, looking at the plans on the table before them. Our miners have much experience working in difficult conditions. The Vorn can provide the heavy equipment, Sangwoo added. We already have mining ships in orbit. A tall blue alien from the Marison species leaned forward. We would be interested in providing transport ships, he offered. Our fleet is the fastest in the sector. Other aliens quickly joined in offering services, technology, and trade deals. June carefully considered each offer, accepting some, declining others. Earth was in a strong Position now, and he needed to use this moment wisely. When the meeting ended, Taeyong walked with June back to his quarters. She looked at him with new respect. "You handle them well," she said. "They all want something from Earth now. It is strange how quickly things change." June nodded. 3 days ago they barely noticed humans, now they all want to be our friends. But the biggest event was still to come. Tomorrow was the formal ceremony where the treaty would be signed in front of the full council. It would be broadcast across the galaxy. Every world would see a human standing as an equal with the oldest species signing a treaty they had helped create. That night, a message arrived for June from Earth. The president herself had sent it, thanking him for his work. The first shipments of mineral samples from Celeste had already been tested. They were perfect for making the needed medicine. Scientists believed they could save millions of lives. June slept better that night than he had since. Arriving at the station, he had done what he came to do. Not just getting the mining rights, but earning respect for humans, showing the galaxy that Earth belonged among the stars. The next morning, Taeyong arrived early wearing a formal blue uniform. "For the ceremony. You should prepare yourself," she said. "This is going to be the biggest event involving humans since we joined the council. Everyone will be watching." June dressed carefully in his best black suit, simple compared to the colorful robes most aliens wore but proper for a human diplomat. He wanted to represent Earth well in this historic moment. When they arrived at the Great Hall, the largest room in the entire station, it was already filled with thousands of delegates from across. The galaxy screens floated in the air, showing the event to billions of beings on countless worlds. The 17 elder council members sat on a raised platform at the front of the room, wearing their most formal clothing. June and Sangwoo were led to the center of the room where a large round table held the treaty documents. The hall fell silent as Do-hoon rose to speak. "Today we witness a historic agreement," he announced, his silver face solemn. "The Treaty of Celeste Moon represents a new chapter. In galactic cooperation, it shows that even the youngest species can earn their place among us through wisdom. Courage and honor." Do-hoon turned, looking directly at June. "Ambassador June of Earth has shown qualities that impress even the oldest among us. He faced our most difficult challenge and succeeded. He won a great prize, yet chose to share it. For this, the Council gives its highest approval." What happened next shocked everyone. In the entire history of the Galactic Council, no elder member had ever bowed to a younger species. It simply was not done. The ancient races were the leaders, the teachers, the rulers. They did not bow, but slowly, deliberately, Do-hoon bent forward, bowing his head to June. A formal gesture of deep respect. The hall went completely silent. Then one by one, each elder council member stood and bowed as well. 17 of the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Showing respect to a human, June stood tall, accepting their bows with dignity, knowing what this meant. This was not just for him. This was for all humans. This moment would be remembered for centuries. Do-hoon straightened and spoke again. "Let the signing begin," he said. June and Sangwoo stepped forward. Each took a ceremonial pen and signed their names to the treaty. As they did, billions of beings throughout the galaxy watched. Humans were no longer just newcomers. They were partners, equals worthy of respect. After the ceremony, June found himself surrounded by delegates wanting to talk to him, make agreements, establish connections with Earth. The news was already spreading. Earth had minerals that could cure diseases, technology that solved problems in new ways, ideas that no one had thought of before. Suddenly, everyone wanted human partners. Taeyong stayed by his side, helping him navigate the crowd. "This is just the beginning," she said, smiling. "The council has already approved 5 new human ambassadors. More humans will be coming to the station to work with other species." As the celebration continued, Haewon the science elder approached June. "There is something I wish to discuss with you," she said, her 4 eyes serious. "We have been studying the ruins your people found on Celeste. There is more there than we first thought. Evidence that humans might have visited many worlds before the council formed." June looked at her surprised. "What does that mean?" he asked. It means Haywen replied that we may need to reconsider human history. Your people may have a much older connection to the stars than anyone realized. The Eridu may have taken humans to many worlds, not just Celeste. This could change our understanding of galactic history. Later that night, June stood alone at a viewing window watching the stars spread out before him. Tomorrow we would return to Earth bringing news of their victory, the treaty, and new agreements with a dozen alien species. Earth would begin a new chapter, taking its place among the starfaring worlds. But his mind kept returning to what Haywen had said. Could humans really have traveled the stars thousands of years ago before losing that knowledge? Were there other worlds out there with ancient human ruins waiting to be found? The thought was exciting. Humans might have a deeper connection to the galaxy than anyone had imagined. A message appeared on his datapad. It was from the Earth President. The first medicine made with Celeste minerals had been produced. Doctors were already using it to save lives. The President ended her message with simple words, "Thank you, June. You have opened the stars to us." June looked back at the view. The stars seemed brighter, somehow more welcoming. For thousands of years, humans had looked up at the night sky, wondering if they were alone, wondering if they would ever travel among the stars. Now they had their answer. They belonged here. This was just the beginning of humanity's journey. Behind him in the station, he could hear the celebration continuing. Delegates from 100 worlds talking, laughing, making plans. The day the Galactic Council bowed to a human would be remembered throughout the galaxy for centuries to come, and June knew that for humans, and for the galaxy, nothing would ever be the same again.